Namo Sakamuni Buddha. So today I'd like to continue to talk about the Buddha views on the coronavirus pandemics. And last time we talked about how we need to have the right view about these pandemics, that we recognize the karmas that we have created in every one of us, what we call the individual karmas. And when we live together, we share what we call collective karmas. So regardless of the cause of the coronavirus, we heard that it may start at the wild animal market in Wuhan, China, where they trade the wild animals or they slaughter them on the spot. And that's why somehow the virus jump from animals to human. So from a act of killing animals that create the spreading of this coronavirus in China and now around the world. So that's so serious that we need to have that type of reviews to recognize why we have this kind of problems around the world. And that is the secular reviews. And on the top of that, the Buddha mentioned that if we understand about the fundamental truths, that's another level of reviews. To recognize the sufferings, the current sufferings, the cessation of sufferings, and the path to end the sufferings. That is the transcendental reviews in order to transform our sufferings completely. And so as much as we understand why we got this type of coronavirus, the next step is to develop what we call right thoughts. We need to send the thought of compassion, the thought of loving kindness, the thought of understanding about those people who have passed away because of this type of virus, and those have positive tests about this virus. We send our thought to them. We pray for the ones who pass away because of this virus, and wish that they would take future birth in higher realm of existence. They may be back as human, or may be born in the celestial realms. And for those who got this virus, we pray for them that they will be recovered soon. And we send the thought to those who are responsible for the public safety and health, and like doctors and nurses, that they have the courage and strength to help the patients to overcome this type of illness. And we pray for the leaders of the countries to set aside any political differences to work for the well-being of the nations, of the people, and so forth. So that is the right thought that we want to send to other people, and we have to send the right um, understanding or even the compassion toward ourselves. In this moment, we recognize that um, things come and go, and as human, we have to deal with birth, aging, sickness, and death. No one can escape from those problems. So, with that understanding, it would help us to remain calm instead of being anxious or worried. Will be a next call or worry about other things. And up to now, there's more than one third of American people stay home because of this pandemic. Uh, Most of the states uh, close, order to close non-essential business. They can open some business that's so essential for us to function, like a grocery store, a gas station, and so forth. The other non-essential uh, business were closed. So thousands or millions of people are out of work today, and millions of children they stay home, they cannot go to school, and all kind of stresses that relate to being laid off. We wonder how we can pay for the bill, for mortgage, for utilities, for room and board, for living expense, for transportation, and so forth. So this happened to most of us that we have to deal with this kind of varieties. So that's why this moment of times is so important in our life that we need to recognize the cause of problems and find out how we deal with them. Of course, sometimes things go beyond our reach, like we hope or we pray that the scientists would find some kind of vaccinations to cure this disease soon, so that all of us will get back to our normal life instead of being confined in the homes, in the rooms. Um, we could not go out to the public, and most of the state order people to stay home, not to gather more than 10 persons, whether it's in the church, temple, or any sport event, and so forth. So that's so stress out uh, to many of us. But that's reality we need to face. And if we follow the Buddha teachings, we would find some ways to calm our mind, to recognize the problems, to accept the problems, uh, and to move on whichever thing happening. So let me play a, uh, a short news about what's going on, uh, an update for the coronavirus has happened as of today, and I will discuss further the Buddhist approach about how we have the right speech after we have right views about the cause of the problems. We have the right thought to send the good thought to everyone surrounding us or even ourselves. We have to have the right speech in uh, this type of situations. So let me play that video clips on news. Okay. Let me share you the screen.
New warning for the nation. This is Dr. Jerome Adams just moments ago.
I want America to understand this week it's going to get bad. And we really need to come together as a nation. I heard the stories that you were just playing, young people out on beaches. We see here in DC, the district set up a cam for people to watch the cherry blossoms. You look on the cam, you see more people walking around and you see cherry blossoms. And this is how the spread is occurring. Everyone needs to be taking the right steps right now, and that means stay at home.
It's going to get bad this week, says the Surgeon General. There are now more than 34,000 coronavirus cases in the United States. More than 400 Americans have died. New York at this moment is the epicenter of the outbreak in this country, with roughly 5% of the world's total cases. President Trump is activating the National Guard in 3 of the hardest hit states, New York, California, and Washington State. The federal government is also sending medical supplies and directing FEMA to set up medical stations to increase the number of available beds. More than 100 million Americans are waking up this morning under stay-at-home orders. And overnight, there was this remarkable interview with the nation's top infectious disease doctor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who expressed frustration, it seemed, with the president's grasp for facts. He told Science magazine, quote, "I can't jump in front of the microphone and push him down."
Okay, so you see that up to now, we have almost 350,000 cases that people test positively about this virus, and almost 15,000 people die because of this pandemic. And in America alone, we have more than 34,000 new cases, and 400 people have passed away because of this pandemic. So again, it's getting worse. It's getting serious. That we need to recognize how serious this matter is, so that we can take the action to prevent ourselves from getting into this type of problems. That means we need to have a social distance. We need to wash our hands. We need to most of the time stay home instead of going to the beach with other people, like the video clips we just heard. There's many young people during the spring break. They flew down to Florida, even California beach to enjoy party there. It's so dangerous that we have to pay attention on the news and the regulations. Otherwise, we endanger our lives as well as other people surrounding us, like our parents, our siblings, our friends, and so forth. So that's why we need to have that kind of approach to deal with this type of pandemics. And like you mentioned recently, that we need to have the proper taught about this kind of disease, we need to generate our compassion and love and kindness toward other people who got the disease, illness. And beside us, we need to have the right speech about this type of disease, this type of pandemics, because if we don't know how to handle our mind and speech, it's easy for us to create more chaos for ourselves and others. So again, during this type of crisis, somehow we hold this all kind of fake news that spread around, and it may be harmful toward the general public because of those fake news that may scare people or that have frightened the general public instead of calming down people so that they can remain calm and peaceful. So that's why in Buddhism, right speech is so important. That the next step that we can do during this time of crisis, that we're not supposed to spread any kind of rumors, any kind of untruthful stories about the virus. We need to help other people to calm their mind, to deal with their stress, anxiety, depressions. We could help them to settle their mind, to accept the situations, to stay indoor at home while we waiting for the scientists to develop the new vaccination to cure this disease. So again, it's so important that the Buddhists need to remain truthful in their thought and speech instead of spreading the rumor or the fake news. And it's so dangerous if we don't understand that kind of problems nowadays or during this time of the year. So again, let me show you some video clips that may not be true, what they call the fake news, that may be scary, that may frighten many people. Let me share with you the video clips. Okay.
To fake headlines about celebrities who might have it. These are stories that are spreading fast. Will Reed is here with more on this. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Cecilia. These are uncertain times for so many people, and as we all learn more about the coronavirus, there are bad actors out there. They're muddying the waters, trying to scam people, with officials around the country alerting the public and fighting back. This morning, as the number of coronavirus cases increases in the United States, so too do internet scams and hoaxes, like this fake BBC Twitter account falsely claiming Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe had tested positive for COVID-19. Radcliffe says he was surprised when he heard the rumor, joking,
I think it's because I'm so ill all the time and you just believe me say it out. I'm very tired.
And after actor Tom Hanks announced he and his wife Rita Wilson had contracted the virus, Twitter blew up. 20,000 plus retweets of this photo of Hanks quarantined with a volleyball, a nod to his character in Castaway. But the photo isn't real. It's edited from a picture of Hanks at a 2015 16 New York Rangers game. On Facebook, fake posts offering tips from doctors, like this one claiming to be from a Stanford Hospital board member, going viral, offering this self-test for people, telling them to hold your breath for more than 10 seconds, saying if they have no discomfort, that basically indicates no infection. That's been debunked. Stanford saying it did not come from them. Officials are warning the public not to fall for fake cures peddled by some companies and individuals, possibly trying to scam consumers with their claims. Earlier this week, the FTC and FDA issued warnings to 7 companies accused of selling unapproved or misbranded products, claiming they can treat or cure COVID-19 with teas, essential oils, and colloidal silver. Televangelist Jim Baker received one such warning for offering an $80 silver solution he advertised as a treatment for coronavirus, even though there is not yet a known vaccine. And conspiracy theorist Alex Jones received a cease and desist letter for hawking unproven products from New York Attorney General Letitia James, one of several she and other state attorneys general have issued in recent days to people they say are selling unproven products. And rumors have been circulating on social media that mass transit in New York City would shut down. That rumor was so rampant, the New York Police Department Twitter account had to address it, saying, quote, "There's a lot of misinformation on social media. One tweet in particular is false. Contrary to what it says, there are no plans by the NYPD to shut down roadways or subways."
Stopping me on the street yesterday asking if that rumor was true. It was everything. Maybe have one start somewhere.
Email, Facebook, Twitter, it's everywhere. You got to really stay focused on what's true.
Okay, well, thanks. So let's talk to Dr. Ashley about this. This is so frustrating at a time when there's so much fear and so much anxiety. How do you tell fact from fiction? Listen, and it puts people at risk, both financially as well as medically and physically. I think in medicine, when something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. I can't emphasize this enough. The communication of this information is part of our response to a global health crisis. People need to get their information from credible and credentialed sources, World Health Organization, CDC, ABC News, not 2 and 3 times removed. Spreads so fast.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for
Again, so you see that now during this time of crisis, many people will spread the fake news, the untruthful news that may frighten so many people. Like in this case, you see that they spread the news that New York City closed all subway, buses, transportation, and so forth. Or they have the news that people can hold the breath for 10 seconds. They would not have any kind of virus. So again, so those are the fake news that we need to recognize. Otherwise, we may be more frightened. Or there's some companies, they take advantage on people during this time of the years to sell some product that had not been approved by the FDA yet. So we need to understand that the people's speech or communication is so important nowadays that we need to use the truthful speech to share with other people, to help other people to calm their mind instead of create more chaos for our communities and our society. Again, the mind is so important that we need to take care of. So as long as we have the right mind, we would have the right speech. And so let me show you another video clips that relate to a test, what they call the message of the water. I watched this video clips a few years ago, and I found that it's so wonderful to share with you today. And we can recognize the power of the mind and the power of the speech. If we know how to use them, they would be more beneficial. Otherwise, it would be more problems for us and others. And you see that. So again, this Japanese doctor, he crystallized the water that has been saved or pray, uh, mm, so that he could recognize the pattern of those waters, and the waters that uh, has been prayed with love, compassion, and so forth. We see they came out with the beautiful patterns, but the waters that has been cursed, uh, yelled at, and so forth, the pattern is so uh, ugly. And so it's demonstrate how the mind and the speech work together. Um, so that's why this is universal values or approach for we as human to do the prayer regardless of the religions we follow. In Buddhism, we do the prayer, the chant when we come across any kind of difficulties or crisis like this time of the year in our tradition too. So the prayer for the victims, the prayer for the patients, um, the prayer for the one got hurt and so forth is so powerful. We could help them to get through, and the prayer for others uh, could help them to inspire and encourage them to do more good deeds and even the prayer for ourselves to the water that may affect to our health and our mentalities. That's why he did that kind of experience. So again, uh, during this time of crisis, it's better for us to send out the good thought, to send out the prayer for everyone surrounding us, not to send out the improper thought or the fake news or the untruthful speech that's harmful to everyone's. So again, with this type of experience, and this so accord with the Buddha teachings that we need to take care of our thought as well as the speech that we need to be mindful when we communicate with other people. So that's the step that we need to take when we deal with this kind of crisis. Uh, so the next step is that we need to have the proper or right karma instead of having the resentment toward the one who spread the disease virus at the beginning, or what we call the patient number one and number two. We need to recognize how we are so interdependent, whether we live in China, Vietnam, or in Europe. We have all kind of connections with each other. Whichever things we do, we affect to so many people. That's why we need to take care of ourselves. Um, we need to take care of our family members. We need to take care of our communities, our nation, and our world, and especially during this time of a year. We will need to share things with other people instead of fighting for toilet paper uh, uh, or for some kind of food. So that we can help each other to overcome this kind of crisis. And of course, in any community or society, we have good people and bad people. The good people come together, help each other, and not the one that take advantage on others during this kind of crisis, like creating the fake news or scam the elderly people or scam other people. So that's why uh, somehow we uh, don't recognize uh, how much karma, I mean, that good karma we need to send out. That's so important so that we can overcome this kind of problems instead of send out mm, uh, the um, racism, the hatred, uh, or the chaos to other people, and eventually it will get back to us. So and that's why we need to choose the proper attitude, proper karmas that we need to develop a trait. Again, helping other people in our family, in our community, in our societies, are the proper um, karma that we need to create. And with that type of approach, we can together with other people overcome this kind of crisis. And we know at the city levels, the city of Louisville, they just made the announcement. The mayor office of Louisville, they made the announcement that they would provide $1,000 for the needy one, the one who could not pay the mortgage, could not pay the utilities, and so forth. Um, so they need to prove their difficulties in order to be qualified for the programs. And now in the state level, especially the federal level, we know that the Congress and the Senate are working together to have the bill to have American people to overcome these difficulty situations. Again, we so blessed that in the level of governments from city, state, and federal, they have some programs to have the needy one. And for us, as a citizen, we need to take part in this type of action to help our communities, to help the needy one, to help the homeless people, to help the one that may encounter difficulties physically and mentally. So that's the way we can contribute something for our communities and our society, so that together we would overcome this crisis, so we can create more good karma for ourselves, and that is what we call the right karma. And the next one, the Buddha provide the path that we have to have what we call right livelihood or right occupations. And like I mentioned before, that one reason why we have this type of coronavirus because people were careless. They kill wild animals at the wildlife market of Wuhan, and that's why the virus from animal spread to the human, and from human we spread to others. And so that's why we need to be careful not to harm sentient beings, because if we harm them, eventually we have to pay for the price. Of course, now in China and other parts of the world have the regulations, rules that uh, uh, try to control people, to kill wild animals, to tame down the spreading of the virus. But still, many people, if they don't understand uh, this type of problems, they may trade wild animals, they may trade weapons, they may trade poisons, they may trade human and so forth, that create more problems for themselves and others. So that's why we have to have the right livelihood, right occupations. We have this type of right livelihood and right occupations. Um, we can help other people to live a peaceful and happy lives. Otherwise, if involved in those type of uh, uh, wrong livelihood, like trading human, trading animals, trading weapons, trading poisons, and so forth, eventually we harm ourselves and others. Since this is some video clips that may be provocative, So I just want to show you that some image or some YouTube we can watch by ourselves at home. Let's see. You can see that somehow people they may not care much about what type of food they consume, and somehow uh, that's why they got the disease. They eat all kind of animals, uh, and that's why they got the illness. Let me show you video clips that talk about tapeworms from sushi. Yeah, many of us love sushi, but still we have to be careful about consuming the raw fish. Uh, Let me play these video clips. We can listen to their conversation and be careful how we consume the sushi.
Appreciate some sushi. I can eat it every day. Well, you do. I brought you some. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now, the problem is this: all sushi is not created equal. I want you to look at this picture. You may second guess that sashimi next time you grab it. You see that? Yeah. What is that? That is an enormous 16-foot tapeworm removed from a man's gut. He was a big fan of sashimi. He'd been experiencing some stomach problems for quite a while. They then found this parasite 16 feet long. It took doctors about 5 days for it to finally come out. To give you an idea, Arthur, I'm going to have you help me out. Okay. Grab that end. Oh my God, do not go so good on eating sushi, okay? Please. Oh my gosh, this is going on and on and on. Hello? This thing was in a man's
It's long. To get rid of this thing, they gave medication that got the worm.
Comes out its mouth or his butt?
Oh, all right. I have a confession. That guy was me. This was mine. But obviously, raw fish can carry these parasites, and they carry these eggs of these worms, and they then set up shop in your gut. It's a perfect environment. They love it. They start to grow. I mean, it's gross, but this happens.
But it doesn't always happen. You have to be very, like, we all eat sushi, died burning, may not again.
I know, this is going to slow me down for a few weeks.
It's going to make me extremely particular. You have to be careful where you get it from. I'm just not going to go to, those corners and grab a sushi. Just not going to do that.
You never know. You have the corner. Sometimes the best sushi is, that's the thing, is looks, as you know. I'm telling you, in the restaurant industry, I have learned one thing, and that is looks can be deceiving. You can go into the nicest restaurant in town, charge you the most, and that sushi could be the most dangerous. You don't know.
So what do they do? I mean, it's served with the wasabi. Does that help?
Well, interestingly so, my big thing is a creature hack. There are certain places where I know the sushi's good. I've never had issues. I'm a repeat customer. So avoid specialty shops if they serve true raw fish if you're worried about it. Saltwater fish actually have a lower risk. The fish from the Atlantic are have fewer parasites than those from the Pacific. And then, of course, sashimi grade, which is the highest grade, has the lowest risk of parasites. You can't ever be 100% sure because sushi is raw fish, has been cooked, so you never know if there's some bacteria.
We shouldn't stop eating it, right?
I think sushi's wonderful.
I love it.
In moderation, because you have to worry about mercury, all these things.
Know where you're going.
Know who's making it. The one thing is there are a lot of places where they get it flown in fresh every day, and those are the kinds of places you don't have to worry as much.
I know that you're from New Orleans.
Yes.
How do you feel about eating shellfish?
Oh, well, I definitely love raw oysters, but again, you go to the places that you know it's safe, and you eat it at a certain time of the year. It's better here or there, but you just oysters are tricky because they can go bad quickly.
Okay, you see that again. Sushi, they make from the raw fish. So we need to be careful about the animals or the seafood that we consume or the dry livelihood, dry occupations that we need to have so that we can prevent ourselves from involved in this type of disease or virus. Since time is up for today, let me stop here. Again, I'd like to send a message to all of you that we need to remain calm. We need to remain peaceful in this time of years. We can send out our prayer to ourselves, to our family members, to our friends, relatives, and so forth, and hope that everyone of us will be peaceful, safe, and healthy. And we pray for the one that got the disease, they will be recovered soon. And we pray for the scientists to find or develop the new vaccinations for this virus soon, so that we can get back to normal life. And we pray for the leaders of our communities and society or government. They have the wisdom to do things in the proper way to help our communities and our people to overcome this kind of pandemics. So again, we like to end our lecture today. So we see you next time. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.